Welcome to the Chop Shop, your midday sports happy hour. Yours truly, Jim Hicks, live in Houston, Texas. That's where we're based at. And Robert Hatter is in transit again today. He's traveling all over. Of course, it should be back in his office, in his studios on Wednesday. But we're going a lot to cover today. We're going to, wait till everybody files on in. But actually, we're going to announce the starting five as you do on the Chop Shop. In case you're a first timer, we're streaming simultaneously on two platforms, Facebook and YouTube. A lot of the viewers, they get to comment in real time. That's one of the things that makes this show uniquely and distinctively different from a lot of others. We interact with you guys in real time. So whichever platform you own, often we'll publish comments on the screen so that you guys can see, because everybody isn't able to see the comments based on your platform. So that's how we rock. We call those commenters, the viewers where you are commenting, we call it the Boom Boom Room. And in the Boom Boom Room, you get, it's a lot of knowledge. So be advised when you're coming, come correct, or don't come at all, because somebody may call you out or may hold you accountable if you are coming in there shucking and jiving. So this is how we rock on the Chop Shop. We're going to get this thing started. And first, of course, and foremost, give you guys a reminder, NBA. We'll start off first block with that, talking NBA. And so you get yourselves ready. We're going to dive in there. But first, of course, there are 4 games on the slate tonight. 4 games tonight. And that will be 2 on NBA TV and 2 on TNT. On the TNT, of course, the headliner is at 9 p.m. Central Time, and that's the game that a lot of people have been waiting on, and it's one of the few 2-2 series that, if not the only one, that's still active. That is the Clippers and the Nuggets. That's tonight, 9 p.m. Central Time in Denver, as this thing resumes. We'll talk more about that later on. That game will be preceded on television on the TNT network with another highly anticipated game 5, that is Detroit and New York Knicks, after Detroit was obviously messed over in game 4 on the last second foul that was not called, and which resulted in their defeat. So 6:30 Pistons and Knicks, 9 o'clock Clippers at Nuggets. Now, meanwhile, on the NBA TV, the headliner is the Celtics and the Magic, as the Celtics will seek to close out that series, and the Magic they're playing at home in Boston, and we'll talk a little bit and dip a little bit into that later on as well. That will be preceded by the Bucks and Pacers at 5 p.m. So you have a happy hour game, a very rare happy hour tip-off during the week, and that is Bucks Pacers. And of course, there's no Dame Lillard. He's out for the remainder of the season, and for the most, if not all of next season. They're saying that. At the same time, technology has been so advanced, who knows, man, depending on how his body heals, but he's no spring chicken. And it sucks, because Dame Lillard came on back, and obviously the team was down, and he suffered that injury, man, that season-ending injury, man. That's tough. So, but we would be remiss if we act like last night did not happen. For first, starting 5. Give you guys starting 5 first and foremost. We give Paul Miranda, Darrell Anderson, Of course, Paul Miranda started. Paul Miranda from He's in Dallas, the DFW area. Darrell Anderson, he's selling the 7 C's right now. He's out in the ocean. Melvin Dews, Beaumont, Texas. Rod Wells, H-Town in the house. Yeah, we're going to talk about some baseball today, Rod Wells, so don't panic on that. Whenever you're ready, we're talking some baseball. And, of course, Joe Lewis Jr. and is in the house. I don't know which city Joe Lewis is from, but you let us know what city you're from or that you're repping, and as we acknowledge you. That rounds out the starting 5, and I see, of course, we have, just in case y'all know, Robert Haller. We're gonna park him right. We're gonna park Haller right there. That way now. And Haller will keep the boom boom room crunk. I guess, or I can't. Ain't no way to make it stick. Ain't no way to make it stick, Haller. Ain't no way to make it stick. But he's on the plane. Let me see if I can. Ain't no way to make it stick. I'm looking, and I don't know. I guess we'll learn later. But anyway, Haller's on the feed right now, guys. Now, of course, we'll breeze first and foremost because I know we're gonna spend an abundance of time, probably a whole block, talking Rockets and Warriors. But first, so let's get this other game out of the way. And I'm going to ask the question to the Boom Boom Room. And I'm looking at your comments, and I will post them on the screen as in relevance. Now, what the hell happened to the Miami Heat last night? 138-83 was the final score. Closeout game. I mean, you're at home, closeout game, and it's, dude, now you understand what I say to you guys. I would rather get blew out than to lose by 1 or 2, because the feelings is just different. It's like, man, let's get this thing over with. And this Miami Heat team, we didn't expect for them to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. No. Absolutely not. However, you also didn't expect for them to get beat by 55 in the closeout game. You didn't expect I expect them to at least fight and chip away and just luckily sneak up with 1 win. You know, that's the over and under. Probably was 1 win in the series for Miami. Man, this looked like a sneaker. It's like an EYBL team playing one of those rec teams. You know, prime time team playing against an EYBL team. That's the way it looked last night. I mean, and I actually keyed in the 4th quarter. I watched the beginning. I was like, dang. Well, maybe 20-point lead ain't nothing in the NBA. They'll walk this thing down, as most teams walk down double digits leads. It's nothing. Then the 20 turned to 30. I was like, oh man, I'm watching something. I started watching, I think, Astros and Detroit Tigers. And I got to watching that. So I turned back, 4th quarter. They're down by 60. So now the record was 58 points in the playoffs, and I think that record was twice. 2 different teams shared that record. So that's what I was watching at the end. I turned it off again. I said, oh man, this is garbage. Left it on the screen, and I'm getting ready. Had a meeting with the fellas, and we are watching just only for the sole purpose to see if we're going to be able to watch history or not. Are they going to eclipse the 58-point margin or not? And it was tight. Then, of course, down the last 2-3 possessions, you know, I think Miami picked up a big 3-pointer, which put them down to 55. And you know, there was no way that Cleveland was going to come down and attempt the 3 with 30-something seconds left. and that was that proved to be the final margin. But man, this is you know, Tyler Hero, guys. Remember this now, so that way when we start talking about the Rockets, and of course, no means making a comparison about the two guys, but Tyler Hero is option number 1 and number 2, and Tyler may on this Miami Heat team, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he may lead them in scoring this season. But you're talking about a young man who came from in game 2. That was the game he had his best. He had 33 points. Then Tyler Hero on 40 minutes. Game 3, obviously Cleveland made adjustments and they held Tyler Hero to 13 points in 37 minutes. Mind you. And that win was 124-87. That was almost a 40 piece. That was a 37 piece. Then in game 4, they hold Tyler Hero to 4 points in 31 minutes. So, just when, I want you guys to remember this now, because there's going to be time, I realize a lot of people get amnesia, especially when it comes to players like a Tyler Hero, they, who somehow you thinking, and you have a different type of swag that like you him, and him don't come off of a 33 down to a 13 down to a 4. He had 4 points, guys, last night at home in a closeout. 1 for 10 from the field, 1 for 9 from 3-point land. 4 points. Now, let it not go unsaid about the potency of this Cleveland Cavaliers team. Remember, 64 wins this season. Donovan Mitchell has been grooving. He was this close, guys, to getting up out of there. Remember, Donovan Mitchell to this team, Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks, Donovan Mitchell stayed. And look at what he almost passed up. This team here has a chance, and they're already doing something special, but they have a chance to close it out. You can't beat a 4-0 sweep. there's no greater. Think about it. In your last 2 games, you won by 37 and 55. Guys, that's a combined 92 points. They've won 2 games by a combined 92 point margin. I wonder if one of you guys out there can look that up and see if that's a record. I'm just curious. In the postseason, has any team in the playoffs played the same during that series, won 2 games, any combined 2 games in succession by 92 points or more, or just say 93 points? Dude, that's dominance. And they were 22 for 47 from 3-point land. They meaning the Cavaliers. 22 for 47. And now they get an extended, extra time off to just relax their bodies, recover, and add in a new package for the next round of the postseason. Amen. The Cavs are doing it, and they will likely face Indiana Pacers in the second round, and all eyes point towards a possible Celtics Knicks, which, don't get it twisted, man. Detroit, even though they're playing in New York tonight, if Detroit manages to win this game and they go back to Detroit, you're talking about a possible 7-game series. This series, Detroit is good, but Detroit is the Eastern Conference's version of the Houston Rockets. You know, and when people try to people have projected that experience versus youth. And if you didn't subscribe to the theory, if you're one of those young guys that, oh man, they just hating on the young people, this is what people mean when we see, especially some of the things in this series we saw last night. And that brings us, before I move on to the Rockets and Golden State, I was looking at some of the comments, and we'll go straight directly on into it. 109-106. Golden State wins to take a 3-1 advantage in this best-of-7 series. Teams will resume action on Wednesday, right? And in Houston. And that would be it's a closeout game. With the Rockets, are they going to put up a fight and win this game? And they win this game, then Friday they will have to win. Thursday will be a travel day, or they might get on the plane and go right after the plane. I don't know, they'll travel right and get on back home, get on back to the Bay Area to play game 6 on Friday. Now, if there is a game 7, it would be Sunday back in Houston. That would give a whole new meaning to Sunday Funday, if this series could somehow turn into a 7-game showdown, which is highly doubtful right now. The way that that was last night. So let's get right into the game now. First, Melvin Dew said they called on Brooks on the 3-point contested shot versus Butler and a no call on Hardaway. This game is crazy. Paul says Jimmy buckets. All that needs to be said about that game. It's playoff Jimmy. He did what he's supposed to do in the playoffs. And when called upon, he did what he was supposed to. They got him for this type of moments. Jimmy Butler's fingerprints was all over that game. Now it goes back to game 3, which now it's almost like, that's why I mentioned yesterday, game 3's loss for the Rockets is almost like deferred adjudicated probation. That means that's the probation they give you, and it doesn't really show on some of your searches, and they'll wipe it clean like it's like no contest or whatever. But if you get in trouble, then you got to do the original. So then it goes back to that deferred adjudicated probation. Then it magnifies if you slip up during this phase. So the Rockets lost that game 3, which you have a chance to make up for it, because the objective was to really just you can get out of Golden State 1-1. Anyway, win frontwards or backwards, like on a football board. Win first one, lose the second one, vice versa. Get 1-1, get up out of there. this was the opportunity. Golden State started out of the gate, jumped right on the Rockets, double-digit lead in the first quarter. It didn't feel good, but at the same time, I said it myself. Say, man, let me remind myself. I know we just saw Miami. We saw a 10 turn into a 20, and a 20 flipped into a 40, and a 40 doubled almost halfway into a 60. That ain't happening tonight. A double-digit lead ain't nothing in the NBA. Sure enough, Rockets came to life. Steven Adams gave him. He was superb, based on based on expectations from him, right? And what I'm doing right now, I forgot to get you guys to share the show. We got before we get deep into these Rockets. We need you to share the show to your social media platforms, to your pages, if you would, to your groups. I'm doing it right now. And that's what I'm doing. As while we're taking a quick break, I pause for the calls. So now back to the Rockets and the Warriors game. And as you go and you look in this game, first I'm just gonna block and go straight to it. Number one, Jalen Green, he stunk again. And Tyler Hero, yes, that's why I mentioned Tyler Hero. And I think one of the posters says this. Sounds like you're describing Jalen Green, Jimmy's, when you're talking Hero. I just wanted to make sure, because Jalen Green is going to get it. And a lot of people is going to give it to him. But at the same breath, I just provide you guys with some ammunition. Keep that same, let some of these guys, the commentators, hope they have some of the same energy that they have for Jalen Green, that they have for Tyler Hero. Because Tyler Hero leads Miami Heat in scoring. Jalen Green leads the Houston Rockets in scoring. So make sure that same energy is there. And the thing about Jalen Green, he has at least one more chance to redeem himself in this postseason. He has at least one more chance, and that's on Wednesday night. And the thing is with Jalen Green, remember, there's plenty of smack talk that goes on during the course of an NBA game. And make no doubt about it, it appears that Draymond Green is probably among the new schoolers. I mean, he's probably in the Mount Rushmore of smack talkers in the NBA over the past 25 years. Probably no brainer. If a man, and it's allegedly Draymond told Jalen Green, no relation, to basically made a reference to his fingernails, whom he wears with black polish on it pretty much regularly. Made a reference about him need to go paint your nails or something. That was motivation enough for you to come out last night and bring your A game. Put it like that. No matter who's the recipient of it, just bring your A game. Check this out, guys. They played 4 games, right? And I'm looking. Jalen Green scored 7 points in game 1. He backdoored that with a 38 ball in the Rockets only win. So in our small sample size, that means Jalen Green, if he scores 30, if he shows up, then the Rockets will win. But we have a small sample size because it's only one win. But we do know if Jalen Green don't show up, the Rockets definitely losing. You know why? There are 3 occasions in this series in the past week. Jalen Green has scored 7 points. He scored 9 points in game 3. And he scored 8 points last night. 7, 9, and 8. And in those 3 games, he has those 3 losses, he has 1 steal in those 3 losses. 1 steal. 7 points, 9 points, 8 points. Those are the 3 losses. 38 in the win. He has more points in that 1 win than he has in those 3 losses combined. As a matter of fact, so when they're speaking of Jalen Green, just remind people about Tyler Hero. That's all I'm asking you guys to do. But that doesn't exonerate Jalen Green. Now, when this series is over with, because this thing can get worse for Jalen Green, this series. Or he can redeem himself and break even at best. But he would have to turn into Ant-Man for that to happen. It's almost like on the court. Oh, and did you see, guys, Tari Eason? It's almost like I'm just gonna say it. He's getting punked out there on the court. Tari Eason was not ready to play basketball last night. And I think the coach may have seen that. I think because he limited his production to only 17 minutes. And the thing about Tyrese, he was non-factor on the offensive end. He was none. I mean, and it's like it was struggling. His body language, the way his eyes, he looked scary. He was shocked, shaking out there on that court. And you don't expect, you know what I'm saying? We're not talking about Tyrese, and we're not talking about a guy. You understand? This season, you expect a person to get his numbers. Tyrese averaged 12 points a game, but he averaged 13 against Golden State. So that means that's your marker. Get your average. If you get your average, everybody meet their averages. Then the superstars are supposed to shine and exceed their averages. That's the thing. That's the objective. Get your number. Meet your mark. Get your quota. We know what's expected of you. You're expected to give us 3 points per quarter. That's 12 points a game. At least. However, he didn't give us 3 points per quarter. He gave us last night, Tyrese, 3 points in the game. In game 3, Tyrese played 19 minutes. That's around the same range of minutes. He finished with only 8 points. Now, in the win, here's a connector. Tyrese 14 points. He exceeded his average. He exceeded what he normally brings against Golden State. And the Rockets won that game. So those are the two right now on a small sample size. You know, in game one, by the way, in case you're wondering, that 10-point loss, 95-85, Tyrese had 6 points in that loss. So in the losses, 6 points, 8 points, 3 points. For Tyrese, in the losses, Jalen Green, 7 points, 9 points, 8 points. Those are two X factors that cannot happen for the Houston Rockets in Game 5. Maybe they need to change their music list, the playlist. Maybe they need to listen to some different type of stuff. Maybe they need to reconnect into their inner self. Something is not right. Jalen Green looks scared out there. So Tyrese, they need to put, maybe, I don't know, whoever they're roommating with, or what they not having when they get their own rooms, they're pros. But whoever, something has to interrupt that, whatever their rhythm is in pregame. It ain't working. Whatever y'all fed them dudes in the Rockets, it ain't working. You got to give them some, feed them something else. But for Jalen Green, whatever you feed his ass, put 2 bottles of hot sauce. You need to put on his food. Cayenne pepper. You know, ain't that what you get them dogs? You want them to get tougher, get the rougher or tougher. Bark a little bit louder, deeper. Fight a little harder. That was an old adage, old in the hood. Just put some hot sauce on their food. I don't know if that still work. I don't know. But man, now, that's the bad and the ugly. Now, I can go to the good, and I go to some of you guys. Let's go to the Boom Boom Room, and we see Dr. Mike Lindsay, Dr. Reverend Mike Lindsay in the house. Your Pistons in action. He's from Detroit, Motor City. What the Pistons gonna do tonight? What your Detroit Tigers gonna do tonight? By the way, we're gonna talk baseball shortly, and of course Tuesday is Dollar Hot Dog Days at the Astros. They're hosting the Detroit Tigers, a team that knocked us out the playoffs last season. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Robert Haller says, yo, he say, y'all leave Jalen Green alone. You know what? That little old gal that had sprung him and spit one out, one in seeds, somebody might need to just go and let her know, hey, look, mama, go and get that boy a call. Go follow him back on social media. Don't mess with his head when the season over. Don't mess with this boy's head right now. She has cost the Rockets maybe a loss or 2. Indirectly. That's the type of action, man. You see that girl courtside with a Golden State Warrior jacket on or something with one of them guys. Something has to happen to get Jalen Green reconnected. That's the thing. Something. Your leading scorer, man, can't come down in the postseason, man, with 3 single-digit games out of the 4 performances, man. Come on, that can't happen, man. Remember, Jalen Green started the season with his lip poked out because they brought him. His role his role was changing, and I want to say they might have brought him off the bench or something. And there were rumblings about about them packaging him and making a deal and getting him out, but they couldn't find the right deal. They wasn't really trying to move him because he's promising. He's athletic. He's progressed, but I just hope like hell he can perform in Game 5. I'm just gonna reserve. I just gave you guys some facts mixed with a little splash of opinion. It's facts what he scored and what he finished with, and what he scored the 7, 9, and 8 versus the 38 in the win versus losses. That's facts. Facts is the one steal in 3 of the losses combined. That's facts. Now, him looking scared, that's my opinion. But the other stuff is facts. You ain't stepped up and you ain't showed up in these losses. How do you know that? So, that's the good and the bad. I mean, that's the bad and the ugly. So now we go over to the good. The good is that number 28 for the Houston Rockets. I think they found in this postseason, they finally went to a spurt where he touched the ball in the fourth quarter like maybe 5-6 possessions in a row. I'm not sure if the Houston Rockets had done that all season. They found the mouse in the house. That, and I'm talking about Sengun. Sengun, he could score 40 points against Golden State if the Rockets wanted him to. If they allowed him to touch the ball that many times. Now, mind you, that last shot, I think it was a little bit, he could have got a little deeper on the spin move, was a little too far away. But guess what? It back rimmed. His last attempt. He can be dangerous. The Rockets can ride him if they chose to do so. They proved it. He got him there. Fred VanVleet, that's good. You broke out of that stanky slump that you were in this series. We got to realize this dude was shooting about 20% from the 3-point line up until last night. So now, Fred, of course, VanVleet. I mentioned Sengun. I'm finished talking about if I get on VanVleet, and that is Sengun had 31 last night in the loss. He had 31 and 10, mind you, with 5 assists. He had 15, 10, and 4 assists in the previous game. In the win, he had 17 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists. And in game 1, he had 26 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist. I'm just thinking, if you get this guy the ball, the percentages is going to be up. And eventually, if VanVleet has to get, if he can somehow duplicate his shooting performance from last night, bring that game into game 5. They're going to need somebody else on the perimeter, which has to be a Jalen Green, to be able to keep, if they are clicking, those 3 are clicking. And I mentioned Tyrese, and he's in the front court, but those 3 are important. But Sengun has been probably the most consistent of the starters, without question. I ain't gonna say probably. He's been the most consistent of the starters. Hell, probably this season, not just this series. So let's see if they're going to ride him. They're going to go and let him get those touches early on. Let's get him started. Because ain't nothing or nobody that Golden State had can stop them low posts, stop the moves this young fella got. He was ice skating out there in some possessions. However, the defense of the Rockets has to mature. Their defense is too immature. And that's probably an understatement, what I'm saying. The defense has to mature. Dylan Brooks, he trying his best. He's playing that role. Guess what? And it's normally that toughness it would rub off on other teammates. It hasn't. That means you have to get somebody off the bench to fill that role. Steven Adams is the closest thing to that. Closest thing to that. Steven Adams, it would look like he played a great game based on the bell curve that's applied to him. Because if his stat line went to any of these other guys, you'd be like, man, that ain't good. But Steven Adams, 5 points, 7 rebounds, 5 of those 7 rebounds on the offensive end, but most importantly, 4 block shots from Steven Adams. Probably the least most athletic player on the entire roster. 4 block shots. Aaron Holiday, DNP. Jeff Green, DNP. For those of you that's asking about Reed Sheppard and thought, back at the NBA draft last June, we got Reed Sheppard, and the thing was, now you understand, Reed Sheppard can't touch the court. That's how good you have to be. This is a guy who scored what almost right at 40 points when they sent him down to the G League. And it was like, oh man, this guy's he's too good for the G League. But he's not good enough to play in the postseason with these Houston Rockets. That's a hell of a gray area. And he's not the only one. He's not on an island by himself. There's a lot of guys like that. So Rick Scott said they need to be at free throw practice right now. They mean, of course, the Houston Rockets missing 12 of their 31 free throw attempts. They missed 12 out of 31. It's a lot of free throw misses. A lot of misses. Seneca says, Sengun, his heart pump a little Kool-Aid too. Yeah, but if you got a little softness to you, your numbers turn you into, it speaks where you're lacking in soft. Your numbers become hard. So his game is hard. It just maybe a little soft in regarding that. He's loving not a fighter on the court. But his game will leave you saying, hey man, dude put in work. A lot of these other guys we talked about earlier, their game, their heart pumping Kool-Aid, and it's in there, actually in their cup. That's what they're sipping. Yeah. Now, one thing I can tell you, Seneca, the playoff crowd, not necessarily the crowd. I know what you mean though. That playoff energy, playoff ambiance is different. Everybody just is something about it, and it's what. Here's the best thing I can describe. In playoff, you can go in, there are some bars that you can sit anywhere in that bar. Now at a certain time, and it starts to get a little crowded, they'll bring those little, what they call those little things where you pull with the little string, with the little elastic strip, and you got the 2 poles on the end, and you can pull the little velvet dividers. What do they call those things? I can't think. You guys help me out on that. They can put those there in front of them and put 2 of them there to section off one of the booths in the back of the bar. Immediately, the mindset and the psyche of where people sit at or where they want to sit at, it changes. Because now people feel that if you're behind that velvet rope, that you are, it's different. It's a different feel. The drinks are still the same drinks. You could have a bottle over there at a regular table. But if you put that rope right there, that's playoffs. Versus sitting over there, those tables over there, them regular season. It's a whole different ambiance. Somehow the drinks taste like it feel like the drinks are different. It's still the same bottle. You paid $3.50 for that bottle, just like you paid $3.50 for that bottle if you're sitting over there. You feel like the DJ playing your songs now. It's different. Barriers. Thank you, Daddy's Move. That's what they call them, the barriers. Yeah. So, are the Rockets done? Can the Rockets win Game 5? That's the magic question. Guys, can they win Game 5? If so, how? I just gave you my theory. How? What do you guys think? Can the Houston Rockets beat Golden State on Wednesday night in Houston? In Houston. And I think that Steve Kerr I think he won the coaching battle last night. Steve Kerr won the coaching battle. He ran some different schemes, and Rockets dared the kid Paz to beat them or to hurt them, and which he did from 3-point land, 6 of 11 from behind the arc. And mind you, he had 26 points last night. That matches the total combined points that he scored in the Game 1, Game 2, and Game 3 combined was 26 points. They basically dared a guy to beat them, and the guy showed up. In the postseason, in schemes, a lot of teams will say, this guy ain't going to beat us. We can leave. We can play off him a little bit. But, we don't need to help. We don't need to double this guy. We don't need. Then he made them. Paz made the Rockets pay. Paz got them there, and Jimmy Butler closed them out. Golden State is not supposed to beat the Rockets, that team, this Houston Rockets team, without Jimmy Butler. Then they're not supposed to beat the Houston Rockets if Steph Curry is held to 17 points. Not supposed to happen. And the Rockets knew those are 2 games that they know that they could have won each one of those. Had they stuck to whatever I'm assuming the script was, or had a different script altogether that goes onto the shoulders of the coach. Just like, understand, remember, J.J. Redick got the blame. In this case, now mind you, Ime Udoka can't shoot not one free throw for those Houston Rockets team that missed 11 out of 31 attempts. He can't shoot none of those 8 out of 9 3-point attempts that Jalen Green missed. However, though, as a coach, you are responsible for putting those players in the best position to maximize or effectively execute. That's part of the coach's responsibility. Your job is to put them there. and putting them there, meaning on the court, or putting somebody else in to do it off the court. Jalen Green is struggling. He's not the only one that's struggling. This Rockets team is sputtering. So if Golden State, they need to kill the Houston Rockets while it appears that they are dead. That's what they need to do. Melvin Dude says the bad thing is the Rockets are defending Curry masterfully, but they are not completing the stops to end possessions. That's crazy. Now, that was one hell of a hiccup. That took about 2 minutes. When all of my stuff, guess what? As I told you guys yesterday, my equipment must be obviously in need of tune-up. So probably on Friday, I take it to get a tune-up. Must have too much stuff on that time for the software that's running on the Chop Shop. So you guys excuse that, and we're back at it rather than starting a whole new feed. We can go and shift gears and continue. Speaking of basketball. The WNBA is doing something pretty creative, which I think is kind of dope, and that is this season, Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever is going to play an exhibition game on the campus of her alma mater, where most of the world got introduced to Caitlin Clark wearing that Iowa Hawkeye uniform. So it would be the Brazilian national team, right? And that would be on Sunday. And on Friday, Angel Reese and her Chicago Sky team is going to play an exhibition at LSU against that same Brazilian national team. It's going to be a total of 4. Those games will be nationally televised. But I think that's dope. You guys. And also in other news, you guys remember Sacramento Kings, and remember this was one of the recent great white hopes that they had and coming out of college at BYU, Jimmy Fredette, right? Jimmer Fredette. Well, Jimmy Fredette in the recent Olympics, he was a part of the 3-on-3 team, but got hurt, got injured, and did not compete. And they, so everybody wants to win a gold medal by any means necessary. Well, Jimmy Fredette has been appointed as the managing director of USA Basketball's 3-on-3 division. So he's the equivalent to the Grant Hill of the 3-on-3. And I think that was a small window where 3-on-3 really could have popped. But then I think the pandemic came and it stopped the momentum, because I was totally prepared, and there was some events that did grassroots on the grassroots sector that actually proceeded with 3-on-3 formats. and because I think that's one of the fundamental elements, old school. But I don't see. Is any of you guys in your neighborhoods or in your communities, are they having 3-on-3 tournaments for school age kids? That's a good question. And Craig says he will be at that game at LSU. From Angel Reese and Chicago Sky will playing the Brazilian national team on Friday. That's gonna be dope. It's gonna be a packed house. That's kind of cool, I think. Now we are officially on that back nine. We're 7 minutes past the hour. Don't forget that we have 4 NBA games tonight. 2 on NBA TV and 2 on the TNT network. The first one on the NBA NBA TV is Milwaukee at Indiana. That's a 5 p.m. tip, followed by Orlando at Boston at 7:30. And then at 6:30 on TNT is Detroit and New York, followed by the Clippers at the Nuggets, and that is a 9 p.m. tip in Denver. So some good basketball that's going to take place tonight. And in case you are wondering, on Wednesday, how the slate is only going to be 2 games on tap. The Rockets and the Warriors is in Houston. That will be a 6:30 tip, followed by the Timberwolves at the Lakers at 9 p.m. Guys, get all your honeydews in order. Wives, if you're watching right now, listen, get the food done. That man gonna need one thing from you when it come around 6:30 on Wednesday, or possibly tonight. He gonna need some leaving alone, because it's gonna be some good games. Meanwhile, what you can do during commercials or between quarters or whatnot is you can go over and check out. They got hockey playoffs are on, and they are exciting. Here, one team I saw scored 2 goals in 11 seconds last night. Also, you got baseball. Major League Baseball is in action, and right now we are at the pretty much approximately the 30 games threshold in Major League Baseball. So we're about 30 games in, guys. A week ago, Houston Astros was in last place. They've won 7 out of their past 10 games, right? Which is pretty much, there's only one team in all of baseball that's hotter than the Houston Astros right now, and that's the New York Mets, the Metropolitans, who ironically the Mets have the best record in baseball right now. They're 20-9, and they beat the devil out of who they played last night. They was up like 14-0 at one time. I mean, they were just skunking. I saw that game passed by and watched a couple of batters. But back to these Astros. And is Rodney Wells on the feed. He's an avid Dodger fan, And I'm going to tell you right now, in the National League in baseball, the powers, the favorites, of course, going into the season, there was a quartet of favorites. They are in the National League. They, in no particular order, they were the New York Mets, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the San Diego Padres, and of course the Philadelphia Phillies. Those are the 4 teams to beat. And ironically, the Phillies and the Mets are in the same division, and the Padres and the Dodgers are in the same division. However, there's one team that has shocked, the most surprising team thus far in the National League. I just put it in twos. I like twos, some Noah type stuff. Is the San Francisco Giants. That's what Justin Verlander is. Verlander's with the Giants. And the Chicago Cubs, who, that's where Tucker is. So, and it's amazing. You know what, guys? I'm thinking the Houston Astros may lead the major league, the MLB, in former players who starred when they left the Astros. You get what I'm saying? Like, for example, Garrett Cole leaves. He goes with the Yankees. Garrett Cole. You know, Carlos Carrera leaves and goes and stars with the Twins. Right? Now, some guys have kind of leveled off when they left. Bregman leaves and he's shining with the Boston Red Sox. Right? That's what I mean. Guys that played and left. Now, don't get it twisted. There's some that played and left and they flatlined. You know, remember the guy with the beard? You know, remember that? James Harden had the beard in basketball and he had a beard in baseball. He made the All-Star game and the team was won the championship with him, and then he leaves the Astros, you don't hear his name no more. It happens. But boy, we have a lot of players that are on other rosters, former Astros. Think about it. Jose Siri, he leaves. He's with the Mets, shining. I just mentioned best record in baseball. What I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you guys, I forgot since we had the hiccup. I'm going to ask you guys to share the show right now again. And you guys can share along with me if you would be so kind to do so. Kyle Tucker, Daddy's Moody says, is #1 in jersey sales in Chicago at the Cubs stadium. And we, chose not to pay him. But I'm not mad. His absence allowed this young guy, Cam Smith, he's 22 years old, for the Houston Astros. He's a young black male that is a rookie. And he was on the opening day, not only on the opening day roster, but went viral when they broadcast the news that he had made the team and brought it and flew his mom down to share that moment with him. And this young man has, he has maintained and took care of business pretty much so since he's been with the team. And as it stands, not blowing it out the water, but for a rookie, he has 3 home runs. He's batting .211, which is subpar. Has plenty of room for improvement, but however, the future is definitely bright for Cam Smith. And so all eyes will be up on him. Shout out to, what's going on, Barrett Kimball? See you. Welcome to the Chop Shop, brother. And thank you, A. Smith. I'm looking at some of the comments. And so, A. Smith, this is why we ask you guys to share the show. You know, that way you know that other people can get some of this. So, as we get ready, of course, we are now 17 minutes past the hour. And we'll shift gears and talk some amateur sports. And some of the things that happened recently around college basketball. And one I'm looking at is that, of course, if you guys may know, last week, one of the guys that's has a great influence to many young men and instrumental with, I think at one point in time it was the California Supreme and youth grassroots basketball program, and then the team Why Not, which is under the umbrella, of course, it's Nike sponsored on the EYBL. That's Russell Westbrook's team, and his name is Mike Law, and Mike Law passed away last week. Unexpectedly, and it was ironically when they played in LA the other day, this was on the heels. Russell Westbrook was back in town because he didn't play game 4 because they said through a foot inflammation. But I know that's Russell Westbrook and Mike Law, they're close, and I'm wondering if this game is going to be one of those games where Russell Westbrook is going to possibly put his fingerprints on a victory for the Denver Nuggets tonight. So sometimes those things can either make you or break you, but he's been playing spectacular for the most part off the bench for this the Denver Nuggets, Russell Westbrook that is. So now as we go and get you guys into, like, say, some recent news, up-to-date news in regard to amateur sports. The young man Marcus Smurf Melinder, they call him Smurf Melinder, he played at UTSA this past season, right? And he played at South Alabama the year before that. And South Alabama could have kept him if they were willing to just give him a couple of $100,000 based of NIL. The coach chose not to. Young man leaves, and he put up stats, and now it became a bidding war between Oklahoma State, West Virginia, and Georgia, which all signs was pointed toward West Virginia, but then Georgia came with a bigger bag. And this is where he has committed to go and take his talents to Athens, Georgia. That's Marcus Smurf Melinder. He starred for Clearbrook High School a couple of seasons ago. If you recall, his team, when he was in the 11th grade, he played alongside his brother, right, who's going to UTSA this season. His brother actually accompanied him on at least one of the official visits that he took before making this decision to my Smurf, Melinda, and his younger brother. The number is reported to be as much as $1 million, which is quite, if true, that's quite a good payday for the young man, and it proves the theory of you go and stat out at a smaller school and the bag will be there. A lot of you guys, you have it all the way backwards. You're chasing names of the school out the gate without the opportunity to stat up. You gotta stat up. And you stat up is going to create the supply and demand. It's going to make a demand for you. It's going to help to create a market for you. Then you go get it. If you don't have no numbers, then all you gonna do, if you want to get a bag, you got to go down to get that bag. This is how you get the bag going up. Everybody wants to play up. So I applaud this young man and his family for taking what was in front of them and getting it out of the mud. He went to South Alabama, played there. He went to UTSA, played and starred there, and now he gets to go and play in the SEC. Mind you now, the SEC, that means he has to play against the national champions twice. He has to play Kentucky at least twice. He has to play Auburn at least twice. He has to play Texas at least twice, so he gets to come home. He has to play Texas A&M at least twice. Good job for this young man. Another news, that's the transfer portal, and I'll give you some other transfer portal news in just a second. And as we go into that portal, there were 59 players from from Houston high schools that got into the portal. There were 59. You hear me, guys? 59. And out of those 59, I think it's about 30 something have found a Division I home. Some of the names are still on the board. I would say, of course, the top guard on this board that's available would be PJ Haggerty. PJ Haggerty, he went to Crosby High School. PJ actually went to 3 high schools in those 4 years. He finished up at Crosby, then went to TCU, then Tulsa, then Memphis. He's the top available guard. The top, and I would say probably, if I had to pair him with another one, say the top 2 available guards. Top 2 available. Maybe Amari Abram. He went to Louisiana Tech this past season averaged 32 minutes, 12 points a game, 4 rebounds a game. That's good for a guard. But Amari Abram he's already came from the SEC at Ole Miss before going to Louisiana Tech. So will he be able to stat back up and get a bag? Time will tell. Another guard, Divine Ugochukwu, who was at Miami. He started most of the season as a true freshman, and he logged 20 minutes per game, 5 points. It's not heavy stats, but you started at Miami. Mind you, not mention the coach laid it down on the team, which was the bottom of the ACC. Those would be two. Those would be maybe my top 3 available guards. As far as bigs that's left from out of Houston, the bigs or the forwards, I would say there's no. Eddie Lampkin leads he's the front runner, and Eddie played at Syracuse this past season, which you guys know. Syracuse, they had some stuff going when it hit the news about the NIL and the lack of payments, and well, not lack of payments, but the discrepancies and the frustrations in the department. And somebody put a statement out, one of the coaches, like, look, we need more transparency. Y'all need to speak to these people. You know, why they ain't getting, why we lost, and tell the reason why we lost this young man and this young man. He was referencing his administrators, his athletic director, to be able to, they need to go and speak and be transparent to these people why we ain't getting them. The donors of the NIL have the right, or should, to know what's going on or necessarily what's not. So Eddie Lampkin, of course, this past season, 29 minutes, 11.5 points, 9.5 rebounds. That's pretty much a double-double, and he's probably the best available, put it like that, in the front court. As for others, man, maybe Keanu Dawes would be the next one. He started off at Rice, started as a freshman, many of the games, went over to Utah last year. His family has ties to the state of Utah, but he's on the move, or appears to be on the move again, after averaging 18.3 points, 8 points a game, 6 rebounds a game in the Big 12. So those are the 2 front courts that I see. And oh, thank you, Brandon Weefall say Amari Abram just committed to Tennessee. So, wow, appreciate that. And what I'm gonna do is update. And this list is on the website, guys. You can go to rcssports.com and you can click. You'll see right in the middle of the front page, and you will get this list that I am referencing to you guys. You can open up a second screen, go to rcssports.com, right? And you can see this list. So that means if Amari Abram is gone, then that means now the guards I mentioned, Divine Ugochukwu, would be one to my best available. It's tough, but I'm going to tell you guys, based on talent, Chris Johnson would be on there. It's just that he had the reason that Chris Johnson is still uncommitted from a big time school. When he started off, he committed with signed with Kansas, then went over to Texas. Then he left Texas and ended up at SFA. And he left SFA, and now he's seeking a fourth college home. His problem, or the common denominator for him, has not been because of his ability to play or not play basketball. It's been other things that has come into the play, and so that means now, and people understand, a lot of these coaches talk, guys. They talk. So they know some people are close. They'll call him, what do you think about this guy? He played for y'all. And guess what? One thing about the coaches, it's like an old spouse or an old boyfriend or girlfriend. When that relationship is over, they gonna spill the beans on the secrets. They'll let you know. They'll let them because it helps to for some people. It may help validate their spirit as to why they not with you no more. It will help that, meaning that, man, what's up, man? That man, you don't be careful, man. He do this, he do that. He not this, or he did this, or he steal this, or he gonna he gonna fight this. He gonna they gonna tell all he smoked this, or he snort that, or they gonna tell all of the dirt once a kid or once a relationship is over. And if you don't want it to happen, try to limit the dirt that you have gotten yourself into while you're in these situations, especially when you are at the mercy of these college programs. Michael Garcia says, PJ Haggerty. He said, would Haggerty not be a good fit at U of H? U of H's system is built on defense first. And there's no one person at University of Houston, guys, you got to understand, at U of H, that this past season, I think their leading score was probably about 14 points for the Cougars this year. Now LJ, I say about 14, but LJ Cryer was their leading scorer, and it was a little bit over 15 a game. But defense, U of H has the young fella Emmanuel Sharp coming back, right? They also have Mercy Miller coming back. You have McDonald's All-American Isaiah Harwell coming in, and you have the darling of the recruiting class, meaning that the one that I think Kevin Sampson really loves, and that's Kingston Fleming coming in. It's 4 guards. I don't think there's enough balls, enough room for PJ Haggerty to come in. If PJ Haggerty was to be added to that team, somebody would ask for a release immediately in that recruiting class, and or it would push somebody. The transfer portal is closed, so that part that is saved by that at this point. That's why they had the margins or the dates set for the transfer portal, because that way people can't just leave when they want to leave. You got to leave within a certain window. which that can be challenged, and probably somebody's probably challenging it in courts, in the legal system as we speak. Shout out to Willie Patrick, man. I see you over there, Mr. Willie Patrick, girls basketball head coach at Bel Air High School in Houston. And somebody asked me a question. Say, can a JUCO kid enter the transfer portal, or do they have to be recruited from the JUCO? Well, I'm assuming that you're asking about the Division Ones. A junior college kid, if you go directly to a junior college out of high school, you must complete, I want to say 60% of your degree plan and graduate from the school if you were not a qualifier. But if you were a qualifier, right? If you were all qualified out of high school, then you can go 1 year JUCO and get recruited up out of there. Yes. So Andre Johnson says you are spot on about U of H. His fit and style of play with a coach that will give him the freedom is critical. Yeah, he's gonna need the ball in his hands. You guys got questions, you can post them on there. This is a great time. Do some Q&A. I haven't done this in a long time with you. Can a coach ask a player not to post his announcement of his commitment? It happens all the time. Yes. There's no rules saying that the coach can't get the player. People do that all the time. They ask them not to post it. Now, what would be the reason that you think that a college would ask a player or a prospect to not post their commitment? That's the question. What do you think would be the reason, or could be the reason? And I know there's a slight delay that's going to come up when I actually talk, like maybe a 10-second delay that you guys are getting this stuff. So that's understand. What do you think is the reason that a college would not want the young man to announce his pledge, his commitment? I'm looking. Somebody asked, does Eddie Lampkin have eligibility? I would assume so. Absolutely, he has 1 year left. That's for certain. And so it's a continuance of the question, the last question that I posted. And he said, can a coach ask a player to not post his announcement of his commitment? And he said, in the case of Coach Sampson, so that other recruits won't find out who has committed. Well, I can't speak for Coach Sampson of U of H, but I'm just asking that I posed the question. What do you guys think? What do you guys think that that is the, that a school would not want a player to post his commitment? Sometimes they're waiting on a certain date. They're waiting on they're waiting on something. Sometimes they want to, They want to make sure that we'll kick the tires on one last kid and make sure before they take it or before they announce, they put it out there publicly. There might be this one extra kid. They might want to get it out their system and see and just make sure that they were trying to close the deal on. But there are different reasons. I've seen it happen before. And then some people feel, and I've seen it, that if they committed to a certain, they were committed to a certain school, and it got out, that it could hinder. Say, for example, let's say if Kingston Fleming had not committed to U of H, and he had committed but didn't make it public, right? Then certain voters probably would not have felt that U of H already had 2 guys committed, to the McDonald's game already. They didn't want 3 guys to play from University of Houston. So if he was open, he might have made that game. Or not necessarily open, if he had not made the commitment public. That's one of the reasons as well that I've seen. People don't, they feel like if they commit early, then the NCAA would swoop in, or somebody would say, well, how is he going there? Let's keep it under wrap. Kind of like the BYU with AJ DeBonster. Think about it. Everybody in the world in the basketball circles knew he was going to BYU. They just didn't want him to make the commitment. Let's not make it public too soon. Let's let it go through the motion. Take a couple of visits here. Go do this. Make it look like you're entertaining other people. Whatnot. The other people got a chance. But everybody in the world knows where you're going. Right? Could that have been the case with Sheldon Henderson? From the day one that Jay Lucas got the job in Miami, people were buzzing, is he going to take Sheldon with him? And all I could do is ask Sheldon himself, which I did, and I told you guys, I asked him face to face as he was right after he was presented with the Guy V. Lewis Player of the Year Award on April the 1st. And his answer was affirmative at that time. He was like, I'm paraphrasing, but I'm telling you guys, he was honestly thought he was going to be a Blue Devil. I'm telling you. Now, if Sheldon Henderson can come back a couple of weeks, couple of months down the road and say, man, I was just messing with everybody, then he's one of the best poker faces that I've seen in a long time from a young 18-year-old boy. But I'm telling you, he was adamant. Because Duke was his dream school. And so that was why I posed that question. So we got other questions. If you guys want to pose them on the Chop Shop, feel free to do so. We give us a thumbs up if you're on the YouTube feed. That would be kind of cool as well. And also, I told you guys we had some grassroots basketball news, and got coaching news. Coach Kenneth Coleman is, after one season, is leaving North Nimitz High School and to accept an assistant coach gig at Beaumont United. And if you missed that, I think I shared that news yesterday, if you guys missed it. So that's going to be big. And of course, Nimitz is expected to promote their top assistant into that spot. Grassroots news, don't forget, guys, JRB events. That's myself and Rick Nelson. We're back at it. Rick Nelson had his own event, Palayan Classic, last week. That was Rick Nelson's event. We run about maybe 6 events together. I have solo album. He has solo album, but we are a group, and we as well kind of look at like Bruno Mars and that other young fella, you know. So this event that's going on Saturday and Sunday in Houston will be located at the gym. If you're a grassroots coach and you're in the area, I'm telling you, listen up now. We only can take 50 teams. We are going to only do one location. It's a small, compact event. High school teams is showcase games only. And middle school and elementary teams will go pool/bracket. Excuse me. And with registration, you can go to rcssports.com and you can click and register and reserve your spot. It's only $175 per team. $175 per team. A great atmosphere. Everything is under the same roof. That's very rare. We're not trying to get greedy. We're not trying to add a second location. Everything's going to be on those 4 courts at the gym. That's it. So, and also, we're not trying to be in the gym all day long as well, either. So, register your teams. I'm telling you, it is going to sell out without question. I think before I got on the show this morning, that was 30-something teams. We only can take 50. So, once again, go to rcssports.com. You'll see the Elite 36 logo. You'll see the logo on there. And if there's a team looking, I was looking at that portal list. Give a shout out to Kendrick Davis. He has signed a new deal for much more money with the top pro team in Australia. So Kendrick Davis won, former Sam Houston High School standout, started in basketball at he played at TCU, then SMU, then ended up at Memphis. He is earning a very nice bag for this coming season with this new Australian team. And I think I told you guys it was something else that I had to share with you guys, and I'm looking to try to see what that news was I want to give you. And I'm looking for it. Also, I mentioned the Elite 36 and baseball. We talked a little baseball. Well, we touched on a little baseball. And the Houston Astros, they are back in action. They're back in action today against the Detroit Tigers. I watched some of the game yesterday, and I looked and I'm looking at the story about about Altuve and Altuve had mentioned to the coach of the Astros he's been our leadoff batter for a while, since I think Springer left. Altuve assumed that role, and yesterday Altuve was granted that request to not bat first, so he put Altuve at second in the batting order instead of first. And so the reason was, initially I was thinking the reason would be so that so that Altuve can be able to get more RBIs, because you're in left field now, and those numbers aren't like second baseman. When you get stats and get consideration for all-star votes or whatnot, the people look at your RBIs. That matters. People look at your ability to hit with runners in scoring position. You're not going to get that as a leadoff in that first at bat. So, but the real reason that it's come to find out was that the run from the outfield to the dugout, that run, remember the Astros left field, the Astros dugout is behind first base. The home team's dugout is behind first base, the Astros. So that's the longest run on the field, is the left fielder to his dugout, to the Astros dugout. So he needed, for that reason, he asked to be moved, which they put him at second. And then guess what Altuve does? He goes out there and cracks a home run. Hit a 2-run dinger last night for the Stros in that 8-5 win. They were down 3-0 in this game until like the 4th inning, and then came to light. So Altuve went 2 for 4. He is leading all of the Astros in batting this season. Astros ain't clicking all the way, but they're getting it done right now. And I'm looking at a couple of teams just text me and say they registering for the Elite 36 this weekend. Oh, I know it was something I meant to tell you guys. So here's what I did last week. There was a spot that came open in Rick Nelson's Pearland Classic. You know, I did the schedule, right? Check this out. This is neat. So I go and I reached out to a few unsigned seniors. So I reached out to these guys and I say, hey, do you want to get some run in on Saturday? There's a spot open, and rather than go seek a whole team, I say, well, let's go and I put a team of unsigned seniors in. We'll call that team. Know what the name of the team is? The name of the team was the Chop Shop, right? So the Chop Shop team played. We got one of the watchers from the Chop Shop, good friend named Paul Coppola, and he's from New York and Detroit. He was in oil and gas. He moved to Houston, and where he's raising his sons, and he kind of tips and follows a little bit of basketball, but that's not his world. And I thought he'd be perfect to just herd the cattle, which he agreed to do so. So guess what? He coached the team. And he coached the team, and that team went 2-0. They only played 2 pool games because I didn't want to make the commitment for them to have to come back on both days and somebody don't show up. So we just left it and took those 2 wins and run. That was part of the deal. So this team, I want to thank all the young men and their coaches, their high school coaches who persuaded or influenced them to come and play. These were all unsigned seniors, and pretty much everybody earned all district. And there's one young man who played, who graduated in 2024, but he does not play. He's trying to seek to play some college basketball. So it's no different than a post-grad. And his name is Kevin Mitchell. Kevin Mitchell is about 6'5", finished from Cashmere High School in 2024. But I want to give a shout out to the young men that went 2-0. Nemo DeSant, he's 5'11" from Aldine High School. Jalen Stevenson, he's 6'2", and Jalen goes to Foster High School, right? I want to give a shout out also on that team was Amari Ari. Amari's 6'3", and Amari goes to Humble High School, right? Isaiah Short. Isaiah is about 6 foot tall, and Isaiah goes to Cashmere High School. Avion McKenzie. Avion is 6'4", and he goes to Klein Collins High School. Cameron Hamilton is 6'7", and he played for Wheatley High School, who advanced to the state championship this past March. That team, most of those guys will be returning, and they're going to play this Saturday in the Elite 36. Now, we're going to add a couple of players to that. If you have an unsigned senior, we're going to join that and boost that team. It was only 6 or 7 guys showed up this past Saturday. They won both games. They had fun. Now we're going to boost it up to about 9 players, because Paul Coppola has those guys trapping and pressing all over the floor. So we're going to try to get we'll add a couple more to the roster. If you're interested in playing, then send a message to a DM to me on one of the social media platforms. I want to get that out there. The name of the team is the Chop Shop. They will play Saturday at 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. They're going to play, sit, play. I'm the one that's comprising the schedule, so that's how I know what time they're going to play. And once again, I'm going to match them. These games are match play this weekend, showcase games at the gym in Humble, 2325 Atascocita Road. You guys can go to rcssports.com, get the link if you got your teams to play in that. Also, the Doug's Dozen is coming up in a couple of weeks. Doug Jones, his signature grassroots event. And you make sure you guys can go and support him in his efforts. Last question of the day is, what are your thoughts on the kid at the JUCO that has one D2 offer on the table, but some other D2 interest? Should he accept the offer or gamble on himself, like he has chosen to do? Just your thoughts. It depends. Everybody, when you take gambles and you gamble, just don't gamble with the rent money. That's an old saying, an old cliche. So, in other words, if you can stand the loss, or if you put it like this, if you can't stand the loss, then don't gamble. If you can stand the loss, then that means he can deal with it. That young man will be able to deal with. If he chooses to gamble and crap out, will he be able to live with himself? Will he be able to live with that? That's important. So that would be my answer to that. So with that having been said, it's time to slide on down Dino's back and yabba dabba do this thing. It is that time. It's 2 hours went by so fast. I thank you guys definitely for hanging there with me. Energy is a little bit on the low end today, of course, because I did not manage to eat anything for breakfast, which that's totally on me. But don't forget to go over to rcsports.com, check out the transfer portal.